Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest webinar, Confessions of a Business Owner. As you know by now, this is all about digging into the purpose and the passion of business owners. What I see in here all the time is business owners get a couple of years in and they start to fall out of love with their business. They start building the wrong business, a business that doesn't give them the financial rewards, a business that doesn't give them the lifestyle rewards, and a business that doesn't fire their belly every single day. So this is all about chatting to business owners that have got a clear sense of purpose and getting under the bonnet and understanding what drives them, what motivates them, what gives them passion every single day, and to know that they're building the right business and to understand how they're supporting their clients along that journey. So I'm absolutely delighted this afternoon to welcome Debbie, who I've known for a number of years. Debbie from Not Just Numbers, who is going to share with us her passion, her story, and how you can improve profitability through systems. So Debbie, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, Gary. Thanks for having me.
No problems. And I'm really intrigued, and we'll dig into this in a moment, about this what if that's just behind you. So we'll get into that in a few moments. So Debbie, just for the benefit of those that don't know you, just give us a quick introduction to who you are, your business, how long you've been going.
Okay, so I'm Debbie from Not Just Numbers. Not Just Numbers is 9 years old, so we're just past our 9th year. I've been in practice since 2005, and we are cloud accounting specialists, accountants, and business advisors. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but we like to think we're not traditional accountants anyway, and we took the cloud route many years ago, so quite early adopters. So that's driven our business going forward.
Debbie, what was a trigger point for you to set up on your own? Because you were kind of in business, then you were in partnership, and then you went out alone. What was a trigger point for you that said this isn't quite working for me?
Okay, so just give you a potted history. I had 20 years in construction, and I started off as a junior accounts clerk, I didn't even know what an invoice was. That's how basic it was in those days. And I think right from day one, 3 months into work, 1983, so that's showing my age, we got our first computer, and we all shared this computer. But even then, we had an account system and we had a process, and it was very early days. But right from day one, we went from I started my career in double entry ledgers, and I used to handwrite ledgers every day. And then we got this computer, which was amazing. And I worked my way up to FD, and I just loved small businesses. We weren't particularly small. We're 15 million, but within the last business I worked for, they had 6 offshoot businesses, and I looked after all of those, and I loved all the different variety. We were taken over in 2004, and I was in a golden handcuff for a year, and it was probably one of the worst years of my life. I absolutely hated it because it was just corporate. I wasn't a corporate person. Fat salary, lovely car, and I spent most of my time crying. I used to get in the car and cry, and come home and cry, and I lost all my pizzazz. I lost any enthusiasm for anything, and I was just number crunching. It wasn't what I was about. So 2005, I'd been working with an IT company, and I went into it to do a turnaround and a rescue, and I absolutely loved it. But I got to the point where I got them turned around, got them back on the feet, worked with them for 5 months, and then realised I was their biggest overhead, so stepped down. They were the reason I started my own business in 2005 in a different guise. And I went in originally as their FD, but in those days I didn't know anything about marketing or business. Just the whole establishing myself and getting my purpose and getting my vision and what I wanted to do. I wasn't very good at getting that across to people, so I ended up being a practice accountant, and people saying to me, "Oh, you can do my tax return, you can do my set of accounts," and that's how I ended up in practice. Long story short, ended up in a partnership because I wanted to grow, and we got to 2011, and things were going horribly wrong. My business partner and I just weren't on the same path at all. I discovered cloud accounting, thought it would be the best thing to move small businesses forward, something that they could understand, something that they could follow and get visibility of the numbers. And they weren't on the same path as me at all. So 2011, we set up Not Just Numbers.
Fantastic. So you've got a track record, and you've along that journey realized what doesn't work for you in terms of partnership, in terms of being an employee, a number on a spreadsheet, and certainly spending half your life crying, is not a good place for anybody to be. So, you're not in that place now.
No.
Just tell me a little bit about Not Just Numbers. It's always intrigued me, Not Just Numbers, because normally accountants are, Simpkin, King and Co. and all sorts of other formal, traditional. Just tell me a little bit about the origin of Not Just Numbers and what Not Just Numbers is about.
So when we started Not Just Numbers, we were looking for a company name, and my husband and I sat together and we were looking, and we were literally searching Companies House as to what name would work and what would work for us. And after about 3 days of searching, that name's gone and that name's gone, and my husband said to me, well, what is it you want to be? What is it you're trying to say? And I said, well, we're not just about the numbers. And that was it in a nutshell. We're not just about the numbers. We are so much more than that. So immediately, straight onto Companies House, is Not Just Numbers available? It was, and we took it and snapped it up, because that in a nutshell says what we are. And it isn't just about the numbers. Of course, the numbers are important, but it was all about support, all about systems, education, knowledge, ideas, creativity, a whole host of things, non-accountancy. And I've just been labelled by one of my clients #Rebel Accountant, and I think that's quite befitting, really.
There was a guy in one of my peer groups going back about 5 or 6 years ago who had a very, very high growth business. It was very profitable. And 2 months later, he'd lost everything, literally overnight. And I grabbed a coffee with him and said, look, what went wrong? He said, we just ran out of cash. I said, well, what didn't your accountant tell you that you were running out of cash? And he said, well, when I challenged my accountant on, he said, well, you don't pay me to give you that advice, so I've not given you that advice. And I think quite often I see and hear business owners buying accountancy based on cost or price, but also buying accountancy based on purely the ability to provide some compliance. And it's much more about this whole concept of systems to improve profitability now.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a systems girl. I worked in industry, so it was all about systems and processes and getting the right information to make the right business decisions. And a lot of people do buy accountancy services on price, and it as much as you try and explain, until they've experienced something different, that's all people really know. And there are more and more of us around now, and we are, more and more accountants are getting the whole advice and added value bit. But for me, it wasn't about just providing a tax return and a set of year-end accounts. It was more around being their finance team, being their arm to get them, to help give them the tools and the knowledge to get them to where they wanted to be. And also, traditionally, accountants look backwards, where I've always been a big believer in looking forwards and finding great tools to do that as well. So if you buy accountancy on price, and you don't understand what it is you're going to get for that money, then it's never going to be a good relationship. And for me, it is all about the relationship you have with your client and the account. And I've seen people saying, I'm having a meeting with my accountant like it's something really, really important. It isn't. We're just another person imparting knowledge and experience to help you get to that different level. And yeah, of course, there's a cost for that. And when people look and they say, oh God, you're really expensive. And I say, yeah, but do you get that from your accountant? Do you get that from your accountant? And actually, when you break it down, it's actually not expensive at all. And it's about, we know that the things that we do add value, and it's not about cost. It is all around value.
The fact of the matter, Debbie, is that a majority of business owners don't know what they don't know. And when they are in those formative years, they need somebody around them that doesn't give them what they ask for, it gives them what they need. And so you will often look at the systems, the processes, the MI that they need. Often they don't even know to ask those questions. But if they just go to an accountant on price and they ask for compliance, they're going to get what they ask for. Yours is about saying, have you thought about this? Why don't you do that?
Yeah, it's all around digging deep, and like you said earlier on, it's all about getting under the bonnet of a person's business. And you talk around purpose. That's the thing that absolutely drives me. Is I love other people's businesses. I'm a nerdy accountant. To see somebody's creativity and ideas and be able to be part of that and share that and get excited about that, that's what absolutely drives you. And by doing that and asking those questions and trying to really understand that person's business, that's the exciting bit, because once you light a client up and ask them to talk about their business, they just shine and they get excited about it, and you glean so much knowledge from those conversations. And from that you'll say, actually, have you thought about this, and have you thought about that, and what about that, and what about that? And that's what sparks the conversation, is really driving into somebody's business. You ask them about their business and they'll talk all day about it. And that's the gold dust for me.
Because that's when you know that somebody's passionate, because they start getting all animated and the voice raises and their arms start flailing around. That's when you know that you've hit the sweet spot with somebody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you get the good stuff. That's where you can add the value, because as they talk, you're learning. And we're not the knowledgeable ones. The business owners are. They're the ones with all the knowledge and the experience. It's our job really then, is to hone in on that and just say, right, actually, what is it that drives you? What is it you need help with? What would make a difference? What would it be like if? And we get the what if behind here. What if you had that knowledge? What if you had that visibility? What if your systems were much slicker? What if we saved you however many hours a month? That's the good stuff, because that gets people to the next level.
Absolutely. The thing that's often misunderstood for me in business is systems run the business. People run the systems. If you don't have a system in place, or you don't follow the system, and there's like literally thousands of systems and processes in the business. If you don't have the systems and processes in place, or you don't follow the systems and processes, then the people are in charge. And all you've got when the people are in charge is chaos, sometimes organized chaos, but quite often not. So for me, in my world, systems and processes run the business, people run the processes and the systems. So for you, you're about helping them implement the systems and the processes they need to make them more efficient, to make them more effective, and to ultimately make them more profitable. Why, in your view, are more business owners not systemized when it comes to, predominantly their accounting function, but in other functions as well? Why are they not systemized?
I think there's that fear. There's always a fear, isn't there? But also, I think there are still so many accountancy firms that they've always done what they always do, and it's that old chestnut, isn't it? If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. And a lot of accountants feel the pressure to offer these things, but they don't really have the experience or the knowledge. And so they'll say, oh, you should be on zero, but they don't really understand zero. And for me, it's around, if you're going to offer this stuff, at least know what it is and be able to train on it, because I think people are wary of it, they're scared of it, they don't understand how it all slots together. And these days there's so much of it. We were talking the other day, there's so many apps about now. It's a bit it's overwhelming. It is absolutely overwhelming, and it's around breaking that down and understanding what you actually need, what would make a difference, without getting shiny magpie syndrome and just going after the next one and the next one. Because you can spend so much time trying different systems, and it's just about recommendations and working with stuff that works, that aligns. And the systems, you've got to have the systems in place. It's all around discipline. And you say about the people side of things, everybody works differently, so it's finding the right solution for the right person. And we come across people that aren't tech savvy, and the whole tech scares them. So it's around demystifying all of that, or saying to them, well, what are you comfortable with, and giving people options. It's around options and choice. And if we did that bit for you, would that make that bit better for you? And it's around understanding how people tick and how people work in order to get the right systems and processes to make it all much slicker.
Because if you can, as an example, somebody that's doing their own, preparing all their own receipts or their own expenses claim might take 4 hours. This is not about replacing 4 hours of their time with 4 hours of your time.
No.
It's replacing 4 hours of their time with 1 hour of your time. And that's one of the ways that you can make them more profitable, A, by reducing the time it takes, but B, by freeing that time up so they can spend time in front of clients rather than it costing them money.
I think what we found with clients is the whole cloud accounting, there's too much advertising saying, oh, you can do your own accounts, you can do this. But whatever the system is, it doesn't make you an expert bookkeeper. It doesn't make you knowledgeable about VAT. It doesn't make you a fully functioning qualified bookkeeper. So you still have to have some knowledge. Now, if you try and learn that and do that, there's lots of bits you can do, but surely you're better off if you're charging 150 quid an hour to your clients, but you're paying a bookkeeper 25 to 40 quid an hour for bookkeeping, and they can, because they know the systems, they know that they're trained bookkeepers, they know what they're doing, and they can get that done in an hour. But in that hour of paying 40 quid, you can then charge 150. That's the logic, and just the whole thing with the systems now is your accountant can access them. They can see there's no dropping the books off at the accountants anymore. That has gone. You don't have to worry about all of that. If you've got a process and a system of sending information regularly, digitally and easily, you snap it and go and get on with what you got into business to do. And that isn't spending hours and hours doing your bookkeeping.
I must admit, we talk about spending more time doing what you love. One of the Eureka moments for me, and it's where the beginning of our relationship started, was when I was doing my expenses claims at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was typing all my receipts into my bookkeeping system, then into a spreadsheet, and I couldn't get them to reconcile. And I was looking at Google Maps about where I'd been for the last month, and I actually had 6 months of expenses to do. And there was receipts everywhere and spreadsheets everywhere. I'm doing this at 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get into business to be doing that at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sure most business owners don't. And I remember ringing my accountant the next day and saying, why aren't you doing this? And he said, because you've never asked me. And that's typical of somebody that's doing what's asked rather than doing what's needed. And there's probably better things for me to be doing with my time and energy than doing my expenses claims at 1 o'clock in the morning.
And that's the thing. I mean, our job is to make that bit easy for people so they don't have to worry. It's about taking a bit away the worry about that. For me, a business owner should have visibility of their numbers. They should know what they all mean, and they should understand it. They should understand their numbers, but they shouldn't have to do all that stuff. And what I've learned, a big learning for me early on in business, was I thought I had to be invincible. I thought I had to do everything myself. I thought that if you couldn't do it yourself, you were a failed business person. And I just about tipped myself over the edge trying to be this superhuman person that I was never ever going to be. And I think what I learned into year 1, year 2 of Not Just Numbers was find people that can, and pay them, because it's worth every single penny. And slowly but surely, I've outsourced all the stuff that I'm rubbish at, because I'm not a marketeer. I'm not a social media person. I'm not, all of those things I'm not good at. So find the things you love to do and hone in on that, and find somebody else to do the other stuff. And that's the biggest piece of advice I can give to people.
And that's why this purpose element in this webinar series is really important, because if you're doing something that you didn't get into business to do, and unless you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, you didn't get into business to be spending all your time, energy and effort on expenses claims and receipts and paying invoices and all of that kind of, we didn't get into business to do that. We got into business because we love recruitment or marketing or wills or whatever it is that we do. So every hour you spend on that is an hour spent not doing what you love. So it's identifying that and then finding the right accountancy partner to work with, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for me, accountancy is all around relationships. You know, I'm not for everybody. Everybody's not for me. It's about finding that right balance. And, you know, there are a lot of good accountants out there, and it really is down to the relationship you have with them. It's about how well you get on with them. How there's got to be a massive trust element in accountancy.
Trust, yeah.
It's a huge trust thing, because you're imparting all your financial information to them, and you know, we've got to do something with that. And you know, you're trusting us to get the right tax bill and the right systems in place and the right visibility. And you know, it is a massive trust thing. So you've got to have that relationship with your accountant.
And this visibility, keep mentioning visibility. I think having a business plan and knowing your numbers is a bit like a sat nav in your business. You've got to know where you're going and when you're going to get there. And quite often business will take you slightly off track. But business owners that don't have access to their numbers at the press of a button don't realize that they're off track, they're going down a different road. In your experience, how soon after the month end should a business owner be expecting to press a button and they've got visibility on their performance?
To be honest with you, you should have visibility all the time. You know, the systems and process, the systems that are around now, they're working in real time, real life bank feeds. Excuse me. You're scanning your invoices up all the time. If you've got somebody or regularly updating your system for you and pushing, you know, processing your invoices, you should know who you owe, when you owe it, who owes you, when they owe you, you know, when it's due in. So really, you should be able to log onto your system daily. If you're anal retentive like me, I know exactly every day where I am. And you know, if you talk about month end, if somebody's just doing it month end, so long as all your like your purchase invoices are in, you should be able to get, you know, information tops a week after month end.
Yeah, but absolute tops, but even less than that. But I bump into business owners that they don't get access to their month end information until 6 or 8 weeks after the month end. Well, how can you influence what next step you're going to take if actually you've taken 10 steps before you know how broken it is?
The systems that are around these days, and the knowledge that people have, and the ease of getting things into systems now, you should be able to run in lifetime. And you know, there's even stock systems now that you don't even have to wait till the end of the month to work out what your stock is. It's running live stock adjustments through as you sell things. So you know, you should be able to click onto your accounts and know exactly where you are every day.
So Debbie, in order to get real-time management information to allow business owners to make informed decisions at the press of a button, what are some of your favorite apps? What are some of the real simple things that business owners can just implement that are just going to make a massive difference to them?
Well, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a zero accountant. It was there before QuickBooks. We were there before QuickBooks, so that was our, you know. But there are other systems around. But that is my favourite. Alongside that, something like Receipt Bank, where you can scan your invoices in, scan your receipts in for your expense claims. Receipt Bank it does all the hard work for you, because it's got OCR readers in it, and it basically scans your document, fills all the boxes in, pushes it into Xero, and takes a little PDF copy with it. So wherever you are in the world, you can see all your invoices and your expense claims. Trip catcher, like you said about trying to find your postcodes at 1 o'clock in the morning. Trip catcher to record your mileage. You can set up favourite trips. You can run it as it works on the GPS as you're driving, and that then can be added into Receipt Bank with your expense claims, or you can run it straight into your accounting package. Those are our three. Get the information into the system. But then you've got things like go cardless to collect payments, streamline your cash in, because again, you know, it's all about cash, isn't it? It's been able to collect your payments quickly, and having clarity of knowing when your money's coming in. things like Chaser. Anybody that doesn't use, just keep a handle on it. If your bank account's reconciled every day or every week, Chaser just auto chases any bad debts or any slow debts, anything that's not coming in on time. And then just quickly as a roundup, there's a lot more apps we can go into, but just for ease, going outwards and looking forwards, we use a forecasting tool called Futurely. And we wouldn't be where we are today without those apps, because Futurely, dashboard reporting, KPI reporting, alerts, forecasting.
Okay, so Justin sent a note. There's a note from Kate. I'll come back to in a moment. Justin, Justin, are you still on Sage? Are you using Sage? Sage can be quite clunky in my experience. It depends on the business, but it can be. A lot of the apps that you've just mentioned don't necessarily bolt into Sage. So one of the challenges with Sage is, you know, trying to get the things that bolt onto it to make it simple are not there.
Sage is coming up the ranks slowly. If you've got Sage 1, a lot of the apps that I've talked about do work with Sage 1, and they do work with QuickBooks. Sage 50 desktop or the hosted version, there are more and more that are starting to work with it, but again, it's still a bit clunky.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kate's saying that, you know, when it comes to doing a year-end account, in her experience, the thing she's learned is it's not about getting that big bill. You can actually amortize the cost of your compliance onto some kind of real simple monthly retainer.
Yeah,
that's exactly cash flow.
Yeah, so I mean, I've worked like this since 2005. Is just literally packaging stuff up to say, this is how much it's going to be for the year. You can pay it over 12 months. And it's about having that visibility of your charges and what you need to pay. And you know, we wrap in their software. We wrap in everything that you need compliance wise, and then we do like a menu driven, saying, well, what would you like to have? You know, the nice to haves are quarterly management accounts, quarterly meetings, monthly management accounts, for cash flow forecasting, budgeting. You know, those are that's the cream on the top. That's the added value stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what's surprising for me, Debbie, and what I like about the time we spend together is, you know, we've spent like, you know, half an hour, 40 minutes so far. You don't use language that nobody understands. You know, most accountants talk about balance sheets and profit and losses and EBITDAs and language that nobody understands. You talk in a language that people understand.
I'm a Yorkshire girl, and I'm just dead straightforward, isn't it? And for me, my time in industry, 20 years in industry, working with auditors, and I always vowed I would never be that person. I said, I'll never go into practice, and I'll never be that person, because they set this persona, don't they, that they're very important people and that they sit behind a desk and they're very educated and very clever. They're no different to any other business owner, trust me. We're just normal people doing normal jobs. We're just trying to make you understand the numbers in the best way possible. If somebody tries to explain marketing to me, it's like a foreign language. I want somebody to break it down and make it as easy as possible for me. And, you know, my hairdresser once said to me, oh, you're really clever. And I said, I can't cut hair. It's horses for courses. So why portray this to be some mystery and some different language when it's just another side to your business that every business owner should understand? You know, for me, the light bulb moment when somebody understands their numbers and they understand finance and they understand why we have to do something and what you have to do it for. That's, you know, that. And they all of a sudden get this, that's why we do it, and that's what that means. You should, you know, you need to understand this stuff. Making it into some language that nobody has a clue about about what it means is just a nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. There's a comment here from Mike that's gone out to everybody. So, having known very little regarding finance when starting the business 3 years ago, Xero and all the apps and software have made it far less daunting. Plus, having it all explained simply by Debbie and the team and having the accountability is invaluable. And that's it for you. It's about finding the right apps that help with the business to improve profitability and talking in a language that makes it easy to understand.
I took a client on once a few years ago, and he'd been trading insolvent for 3 years and he had no idea. He didn't understand what the brackets meant at the end of his balance sheet.
And obviously somebody's not explained that to him.
He went bankrupt.
Yeah. So Debbie, for all those kind of watching this in real time and watching this on replay, you know, anybody that's looking to evaluate the systems that they're using in their business to make them more profitability, what for you is the first step that they should be taking?
Well, I think first of all, it's just if you've already got systems and processes in, it's just looking at, are they actually working for you? Are they giving you the visibility that you need? And it might not just be about the systems. There's some great systems out there, but there are a lot of systems that people are not fully utilising or they're not fully trained on. And I think that's the difference. We've seen, you know, Xero is a great tool. It's an amazing tool. But we've seen some horror stories with it because people haven't been taught how to use it properly. And then when they see what it can do and it's explained to them, they go, oh God, this is, you know, this is much easier than I thought it was. And just having, you know, look at the information it's giving you. Is that what you need to run your business? Does that set alarm bells ringing? Does it make you question your information? Does it make you look at things differently? Because if it doesn't, and if you're looking at it going, what the hell's going on, and it doesn't make sense, then it's not right, is it?
Yeah, I just think, you know, I've got quite an inquisitive nature, but if there's something that's a bit of a pain in the ass in your business when it comes to doing something, there will be a way, there'll be an app, there'll be a system, and it can be anything from automatically raising invoices to raising group invoices to raising repeating invoices to, you know, things like Chaser that sends reminders to collect cash to, you know, Go Cardless for me was revolutionary, getting people on direct debit so I never have to chase any debt up. You know, I was talking to a client this morning and, you know, I fell out with him 4 years ago because, you know, he wanted to undertake some work. I sent him an invoice. He never paid the invoice. Now it was down to his business partner at the time, but now you pay on a monthly basis. You break it down into monthly payments and it's on direct debit and we never have to have a difficult conversation. And so, and you know, we're talking about something that costs a handful of dollars a month, right?
It's like any software. There's a cost. There is a cost. You know, there's no hiding it. There is a cost to all this software.
Yeah.
But what you've got to look at is how much time does it save you? What does it give you back? And it's not necessarily about being able to earn another hour's income. It might be I can have the afternoon off and go and spend some time with my family. It's not all about, you know, being at your business all the time. It's what will that app at that cost do for your business that takes you to the next level? And you know, you are in danger of shiny magpie syndrome, so you've just got to be careful about what's out there and what, you know. But there's over 700 800 apps just on the Xero marketplace, so if you've got a problem, there's an app on there to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, this little story I told earlier about the guy who wasn't getting the right advice from his accountant and he finished up losing everything. He lost his life savings, he lost his confidence, his business, you know, everything. You know, Andy from First Choice Recruitment here is saying it's such a difficult decision to select your business partners, accountants, bankers, legals, etc. It's almost in accountants we trust. You know, for me, it's got to be, I've always said this, even when I was in my corporate career, the first recruit I always made was having the right finance person at the side of me that could give me clarity on the numbers. How are we actually performing and what do we actually need to do next? And it's no different in business, Debbie. You know, You know that you and I sit down every single month regardless. And some people go, that's actually quite a lot. It's actually quite expensive. But the value that I get from getting that visibility and that accountability every month is worth every single penny. It really is.
But again, a lot of it's accountability because you generally find that your advisor is not emotionally involved. I mean, I do because I love people's businesses, so I get totally hooked into people's businesses. But we can sit more on the fence, and we can take the emotion out of it, and we can be saying, you know, actually, you said you were going to do this, and you do the same with me on the other side of things. You said you were going to do that, Debbie, but you haven't done it, and it's that accountability piece. It's just like if you want to get to this next level, or you want to be able to have an afternoon off every week, what is it you need to do, and actually how well are you doing it? So, but again, we get back to the visibility thing. Just COVID's been massive. Everybody knows it's massive. Where, you know, as an accountancy practice, where, yeah, we've been hit massively in just terms of workload, because there's just so much to deal with. But because everything's on its head and there's so much uncertainty, this is now the time that people can do, you know, this, we talk about what if, it's scenario planning. It's what if I lost half my business? What if I needed to take somebody else on because my business has gone crazy because of COVID? How, you know, can I afford to do that? What if, you know, that contract doesn't land? And, you know, with the tools that we've got, you can literally drill down to so much detail to get your whole, you know, you can work on your pipeline, can't you? You can, well, if that contract lands, that, you know, this, it looks like this. If that contract doesn't land, it looks like that. And but it gives you, like you say, that roadmap, that visibility to plan and make decisions. And I think anybody that's not doing that, you're just literally running day to day. It's not a great place to be in business.
No, you're on a crash course, aren't you? Justin's made a great point here, and I absolutely agree, Justin. Great point is choosing the right accountant is critical, but often you have to change advisors in inverted brackets as the business grows. Difficulty is knowing when. And look, everybody's got a shelf life. Everybody's got, for me, it's a bit like being on a train. Which station do you get on and off? You know, as a business grows, they need different advisors in every aspect of the business.
Absolutely. And I think that's not just about finance either. I think it's, you know, you can start off with an account that can get you to a great stage, but then sometimes they, you know, that it's limited knowledge, and it's like, you know, we know what our market is, and we're not huge business, you know, we're not in, we know what our limit is, and then when we get to that point, but I think any accountant worth the salt, they'll get to that point and say, now's the time for you to move on, or, you know, you need something bigger and better, and it's being able to refer then to somebody to get you to the next level.
I do find, however, Justin, that, you know, I do come across a lot of business owners that choose particularly accountants and financial advice from friends of family, people that are known to them, people that they've known a while. And what can happen is they get to the point where they know it's not delivering value or enough value, but loyalty often blinds making the right decision. So, you know, I see it a lot when I walk into a business where they're not getting the right advice, but their loyalty towards the advisor that should be giving them better advice is blinding their decision-making capability. So I think that's just something to watch out for. Debbie, you've shared some absolutely fantastic insights, some ideas, some great tools and tips this afternoon. For those that want to connect with you, where is the best place that they can connect?
My email really is, I mean, I'm happy to share my details with you, Gary. If anybody's interested, I can.
I'll send an email out tomorrow with those details on. So whether it's LinkedIn or your email, tell us how best you want us to connect, and I'll send that out to everybody tomorrow. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for some great tools and insight. This series, as I said, is about helping people build the right business, and a big part of that is understanding the passion, the energy that comes from clearly understanding your purpose and your passion and what comes out of that. Next week, I'm delighted to introduce Steve Knapp. Steve Knapp can't be on the call today. Oops, it does it every week. Steve Knapp, who is a trained sales expert. He's been in sales for many, many years, and he's been running his own business, the Sales Mindset Coach. And he's going to talk to us next week about why your prospects are hiding from you, which I think is going to be of interest to a lot of businesses, because prospects are hiding, and then when you do sniff them out, then they go and ghost you, don't they? So Steve Knapp, the Sales Mindset Coach, is going to be talking about why are your prospects hiding from us. Thanks everybody again for joining us. Hope you found that of value, and hopefully I'll see you all next week.